Songs and Sit-Downs, featuring Owen Dara. And now, Owen Dara.
Good evening and welcome to Songs and Sit-Downs. Thank you so much for joining us on this, our 15th show of the series. As always, we're very happy to have you with us, especially during these current times when the world continues to change, and we'd like to say evolve, but in many ways, unfortunately, it seems to be completely going the other direction. Not in all aspects of life, thankfully, but certainly in some, including, it seems, at least in my observation, our humor, at least on my Facebook newsfeed, if that's anything to go by, because, ladies and gentlemen, and non-gender specific humans, during this period of COVID-19, my Facebook feed has been becoming more and more smattered with puns. Yes, puns. The kind of groan-getting gags that I thought I would be free of after the death of my father and my grandfathers. Pretty much pun machines was my dad, and my mother's dad, and my dad's dad. And it's a dad thing, so maybe there are just more dads out there. I'm not sure, but for some reason, they seem to be haunting me yet again. And I don't know if it's a symptom of our world in general leaning towards decline. And I don't know if you've been experienced this phenomenon, but just in case you haven't, I thought we might start the show tonight by sharing just a few of the puns that I, along with many of my Facebook friends, have recently been subjected to. Let's put one up there so I don't have to suffer alone. Here it is. And there's an echo behind my voice as that's happening, which gives it even more of an effect. So, let's look at this one. So, when chickens communicate, do they use foul language? Okay. I'm not sure which of my friends posted this, but whoever you are, foul language I am directing towards you. And it doesn't stop there. Here's another one that came up this week. Okay, so I told my suitcases that there was going to be no vacation this year. Now I'm dealing with emotional baggage. And that, by the way, was put out there by the Irish Post. So just in case you think it's a domestic problem, nope, it's international. And then here's another one that was actually put on by a friend of mine I grew up with, actually. And okay, you ready for this one? I caught my son chewing on electrical cords, so I had to ground him. Okay, that would have been enough. We would have been, okay, Dave, we get it. He's doing better currently. You're like, okay, that's good. That's two in a row. You got me with two. And conducting himself properly. It's by my friend Dave Williamson, who basically is actually an electrician. He did an apprenticeship as an electrician and he still works in the electrical trade. And so we kind of forgive him for that. Maybe for just one of those. Okay, well, that's enough of that. Now you've been sharing the pain that I've been sharing all this week and beyond. But honestly, I say it's pain, but strangely, somehow in these trying times, I'm actually starting to appreciate the art of the pun. So I'd like to acknowledge the efforts of those pun creators and those who post them in an attempt to keep us all smiling, or perhaps groaning, which is often the case during these difficult times. And if you have a pun that you'd like to send to me or to the show, then please don't. Please do not. I mean, not that I don't appreciate you, I really do, and I'm sure we all do, but I think maybe you've done enough for us, or to us. So please feel free to take a break. And speaking of people who should take a break, or at least deserve to take a break, but never do, let's quickly say hello to our fearless leaders, Dolly and JJ, who are always working hard to bring us some great entertainment on the internet at Divine Rebel Music. Hi there, Dolly and JJ.
Hi there.
I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see you, Owen. Nice shirt.
Yeah, how are... Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. The lovely Jessica bought that for me.
Good job, Jessica.
I know, isn't she fantastic?
She's a pretty stylish woman, so...
She is. I would have zero style without her. Although she would force me to get a haircut, but, you know, it's too dangerous to go out and get a haircut now. So it's the only reason I'm getting away with this right now. So anyway, we should get to the announcements. We got a great show lined up, so we're going to get to the guests soon. But
yes, we do.
let's
Yes,
hear
we
what we
do.
got to tell our folks, our viewers out there.
Yes. Hopefully you guys aren't tired of hearing this, but everyone, thank you so much for helping us get to at least 100 subscribers on both of our YouTube channels. We are now easily past 100, and now the new goal is 1,000. And with 1,000 subscribers, we would be able to monetize on this passion project. We love bringing people on. We love spotlighting interesting people and wonderful musicians. Not that they're not interesting; they're all interesting, but we would love to be able to monetize on this, and then we wouldn't have to ask for tips, right,
Which
Owen?
brings us to tips. And of course, the monetizing
Yep.
channels that they're talking about is our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Divine Rebel Music and
Yes.
youtube.com/Owen Dara. So we're streaming on both of those, and YouTube is not giving us any money. But if we reach 1,000, we're actually going to be able to get some money for that. And so we would really appreciate your help, as Dolly said, with that.
Yes. And I'm going to post it in the comments to make it as easy as possible for you lovely people to just click a button and hit subscribe. Okay?
Yes, and
so
thank
I'm
you
doing
so
that
much. And then, as
right
Dolly
now.
said, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that was all. I'm doing that right now. It's in there now.
Okay, thank you so much, Dolly.
Yeah.
And as Dolly said, then we won't have to be asking you for tips. But
Yes.
we don't ask you for tips. We suggest that if you feel like it and you're in a
Yes.
position to give tips, we're also going to put that in the comments, because we created this show, Songs and Sit Downs, in part as a means to fill the deficit created by the lack of live work really available to artists as a result of COVID-19. And as most of you know, we have a very hard-working team who also happen to be artists themselves. You're looking at them right now. And
All of us.
also, of course, we are all adversely affected by the ongoing closure of music venues. As I'm sure some of you might know, Dolly and JJ have this great band called Cool House, and they were doing gigs all over town. I had some gigs all over town, and of course, none of us have gigs all over town right now. So we're here. But as we always say, we very much appreciate your being here. And if you so choose and you have the means and you want to put something in the tip jar, we appreciate the support. We do share it with
Yes.
our musical guest. So that also helps our musical guest move forward. And if tipping is not within your means, of course, that's fine too. We're just more than happy to have you with us. And thank you so much for tuning
Always.
in. And thank you, Dolly and JJ.
All right. See you guys.
Take care.
We will talk to you guys later. Now, we want to talk a little bit about the upcoming shows. And so the live shows that are happening around town, I've got a list right here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've tuned in for the 15th time, I think you should write a letter of complaint to me or Dolly or JJ or anyone, because this is the 15th time that we've done this joke. It's like, in the beginning it was funny. It was like, oh, here's all the gigs that are happening around town. And then, oh, look, there's no gigs. Look at that. And then, of course, there was a big virtual laugh, I hope, by anybody who was watching. But for the 15th, and then we said, oh, let's keep doing the joke until until the live gigs happen again, because we thought it'd be about 2 weeks, right? As everybody thought, 2-week lockdown, and then we'll be back to it. But no, it's, what are we in, at least 4 months now. Possibly we'll be going into the 5th month soon, and that's a little scary. April, May, June, July. Good Lord, yes. Wow. A long time. But anyway, we have upcoming Facebook shows, and we're going to tell you about those a little bit later on. And we'd also like to mention a wonderful publication called Irish Arts and Entertainment that has been helping us by promoting our show and sharing on its network about what we're doing here in Songs and Sit Downs. And as part of the deal, they're offering our viewers a reduced subscription to their publication and to the mighty Irish network here in Southern California. As a subscriber, you'll be entered in a weekly draw. I almost said drawer. You'll be put in a drawer. Subscribe and they'll shove you in a drawer. Talk about lockdown. Social distancing right there. But you might win something. So you'll be in a draw, you might win something, and there are other perks, including 2-for-1 deals and concert tickets. And the reduced subscription, are you ready for this? For our viewers is, for a whole year, just $20. Now that's a very good deal. And if you're a student or a senior, you can actually get it for $12. And there's Irish Arts and Entertainment up on your screen right there. I think that's the latest issue. And we want to thank the publisher, Jim McDonough, and the organization Irish Arts and Entertainment for taking interest in our show and for promoting it. So you can sign up. It'll be there in the comments. You can email mightyirishnetwork at gmail.com, or you can give them a call, 951-216-1493, and you may even talk to the man himself. So thank you so much again. We appreciate sponsors. It's our first sponsor, and if you'd like to be a sponsor, fantastic. If you wouldn't, that's absolutely fine too. We're just happy to have you with us. And you'll be happy you tuned in tonight, because boy, do we have some fantastic guests joining us tonight. In just a little while, we'll be going all the way to Salada, Colorado to meet Lee Ross, a very interesting and multi-talented mime artist, comedian, writer, and filmmaker with some great stories to tell. And after that, we'll be going to Ojai, California to meet with our featured musical artist, the Rose Valley Thorns. Normally a trio, but tonight coming to us as a duo, presumably due to the restrictions of social distancing, brothers Josh and Jared Bergman, who collectively are 2/3 of the Rose Valley Thorns, will be joining us, and they are an excellent band, influenced by multiple genres, including folk, jazz, rock, country, ragtime, and bluegrass. Bluegrass being the most important genre, which they're not only keeping alive, but they're moving forward in a very, very positive way. You'll find out for yourself just a little later in the show when they play some songs live for us. And they're also going to be having a little bit of a chat with us right here on Songs and Sit Downs. And they're well worth hanging around for, as is our first guest, Lee Ross. So please do stay with us for that. But first, we're going to go to one of our weekly segments, and our favorite weekly segments, we've got to say. Actually, I say that every week, but right now it's really our only weekly consistent segment because the presenter thankfully never changes, and she always brings us very, very positive news. As I always say, she never lets us down with her good news stories and her positivity. And I'm excited, as you are, I'm sure, to hear what she has for us tonight. This is On the Upside with Jessica Lancaster.
Happy Monday, everyone. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I know I did. I want you to meet Derek. He found himself discarded by his family and just thrown away in the wheelie bin outside his house. Don't worry, the story has a very happy ending. Some neighborhood kids found him and decided to play with him and then left him in a park. Well, the neighborhood just kept moving him around, dressing him up and allowing him to have all sorts of amazing adventures. He brought so much joy to the neighborhood that they formed a Facebook page named Derek the Globe-Trotting Pony, which I, by the way, am part of now. Anyways, just when you think it's all over, that is actually sometimes when your life can begin. Lesson learned. 23-year-old John Capron had been browsing the Remarkable Cleanouts antique store in Norwood, Massachusetts, when he found a $200 Whitney piano for sale. After asking permission, the self-taught piano player sat down to play Don't Stop Believin' by Journey. The delighted customers gathered around him, and the sales associate filmed his performance and posted it on their Facebook page. It went viral. Since Capron was wearing a face mask for the performance, national news outlets started looking for the identity of the masked piano player. After he identified himself, the store owner, Mark Waters, offered to give him the Whitney piano for free. But then he said, no, I don't want to give you that piano for free. Instead, I want to give you the $3,000 Steinway & Sons piano for free. So now the only problem John has is how is he going to get that piano up a 4-story walk up in Boston? I have sneaky suspicion he'll have some help with that. Great talent can come from anywhere. I want you to meet Anthony Misoma Madu. He is from Nigeria. His parents wanted him to become a priest, but instead he captivated millions with his ballet. A video of him dancing barefoot in the rain went viral last month. More than 15 million people have watched him dance with only the rain as music. Now I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to let you enjoy this video because it is amazing. The video caught the eye of the American Ballet Theater, which gave him a scholarship and arranged internet access for virtual training this summer. Wow. Next year, he's going to train in the United States on a full scholarship from Ballet Beyond Borders. Congrats, Anthony. That's amazing. And finally, it's important to own up when you make a mistake. No one's perfect. We all have bad days. And I want you to take a lesson from this very guilty bulldog on just how to do that.
Did Yes! Was it you? It was you! It was. He's raising his hand.
Okay, guys, that's it for me. Have a great week. And if you have any good news that you want to share, send it our way and we will spread the love. Bye.
I love it. Thank you so much, Jessica Lancaster. Always spreading the love. And you got to open with the dog. You got to finish with the dog. You can't go wrong. Great stories, bringing those stories to us every single week. And she'll be back again next week. And we look forward to another positive spin on the world with her little segment called On the Upside. Moving on now to our first guest of the evening, Lee Ross, who began his career traveling the globe, performing his street comedy show in Europe, Australia, the Asia Pacific, before touring with Cirque du Soleil as the lead mime clown in a show called Saltimbanco. He has produced, written and directed a number of films, both features and shorts, and his feature film, Downloading Nancy, a thriller starring Maria Bello and Jason Patric, premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in 2008. Since then, his films have been seen on various online platforms such as Amazon, iTunes, Snag Films, Indie Rights, and Google. Lee's latest feature film is an urban fairy tale called Benjamin Troubles, which is now available on demand. He's currently writing and producing a new thriller titled 10.31, as well as a drama called Time Bomb. And if that's not enough, he's also in development for a sci-fi TV series titled On Truth. We're delighted to have him here with us this evening on Songs and Sit-Downs. Please welcome Lee Ross.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, Lee, how are you?
Owen, great to be here. Nice to meet you.
Well, it's good to see you. How have you been?
Yeah, doing well. I was all worried about my shine reflection off of my forehead. Of course, I need the makeup gal to come over, pat me down.
Well, I didn't tell you, but over there in Salada, we actually have somebody on hand that can go and sort out powder your forehead right now.
Oh, really? No, that would be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have them come
and
over.
Now, did I say it right? Because I said salad.
Yeah, so it's Spanish for exit, salida, but salida is how the locals pronounce it, salida. It's if you took the square of Colorado and went right to the center, pretty much that's where salida is.
Okay, and it's Spanish for exit, as you said. So it's basically, is there a portal there or something where you can just get out if things get too much?
Actually, an hour away from Salida, there's another valley, and there's a town called Crestone, and it's where the many UFO sightings happen in Colorado around Crestone, which has a vortex for real over by the Great Sand Dunes.
Wow.
Yeah,
what a great place to be for a screenwriter, right?
I know. I just go get picked up by the aliens, have a little run around.
Yeah, your next trip will find you now. But of course, you weren't a writer back in the day. You started as a street performer in New York City.
I did indeed. Very young. I started on the streets of New York at around 16 years old on 6th Avenue. Yeah, wow. And that is a photo you got of me at 14, where I was juggling, and that was the first years of seeing many inspiring street performers from San Francisco back in the days of Shields and Yarnell, and so that was where I started on the streets of New York, all over the city, South Street Seaport, Washington Square Park. Back in the early 80s.
And you said you were very inspired by other street performers back then. We came across a photo of Philippe Petit that you're associated with. Did you actually see him perform?
Yeah, around the time of that photo just before there of me juggling were the years that Philippe was in Washington Square Park, and you can tell from that photo of Philippe on the slack rope that, you look at that was really like 1979, 1980, right after he had walked between the Twin Towers, but before he made Man on Wire, the documentary that won the Oscar.
Wow, what an incredible experience to see him up close and to be inspired
he
by
was
him.
Amazing.
Your street performing then, of course, I mean, eventually you started working in clubs, and we'll get to that in a moment, but there was something in the interim that took you from the streets to Australia. How did your move to Australia happen? Because I believe you were part of Expo there.
Yes, the World's Fair that moves every 2 years. In 1986 was my first like real gig, where I got to go to Expo 86 in Vancouver, and I
Ah.
used to perform in front of the Australian pavilion. And one day, this woman came out and she said, "You're very talented. Um, we're having the next one." And I said, "Great, let me get your card." And I got in touch with the woman way ahead, like a year ahead of time or so. And I was lucky to get booked. I had good video from back then, and that was the most amazing journey, to move to Brisbane, Australia, in Queensland in 1988, and to meet all these other international performers from all over the world during that time, and to also grow my repertoire as a stand-up comic. And it was 6 months of experimentation with doing new stuff, that because you didn't have to get a hat from an audience. It was just massive audiences and no asking for money at the end of your show.
Wow. So I mean, that's the motivation. Is like you got to do a good show when you're passing the hat, but if you're not passing the hat,
If you're
oh
not passing
wow,
that,
this is another trick you used to do. You have like it looks like a surgical glove on your head. Of course, this was long before protecting ourselves became popular. You're ahead of the curve right there.
right, that's my COVID outfit. Actually made famous by Howie Mandel,
Ah.
who really made the blowing a rubber glove up. That he used a actual kitchen glove, sink cleaning glove. This is a surgical glove. They're a lot easier. Please don't try this at home, kids.
No.
Go to your friend's house. But it's an easy interactive thing that I used to use to gather my crowd. And that photo is from Canada, where I've worked a lot over the many years. And that is Edmonton, Canada, around, I don't know, 1995, maybe, a long time ago.
And so it seems like that picture, you're blowing it up, I guess, with your nose.
Through my nose, yeah, you got
Right.
it.
And then do you keep going till it pops?
Yeah, I go until it completely, you can just feel it get to that point where it's about to blow up and some snot will fly everywhere. It's,
And,
yeah,
and the pop scares the hell out of whoever's standing next to you. They're like, "Oh, look how cool that is!" And then suddenly
yeah.
their eardrums are blown open.
Definitely, the audience is surprised.
Yeah. And now you're after your street performing, you head on over to Paris to study mime. What inspired you to study mime? Were you just like, I never want to get women again. I want to be a mime artist.
Well, I moved after high school and a couple of years of college. I just wanted to go study while I still could with the great physical, corporeal movement artists and teachers of the Marcel Marceau period. And so in Paris at that time, in the mid 80s, you could go to a couple of different schools. So I went over there and studied under a guy named Jacques Lecoq, and another guy named Etienne Ducroux, and who was the kind of godfather of modern mime. And then I got kicked out of mime school for talking. So
No, is that a true story?
no, it's a very bad old.
Oh, you got me.
Yeah,
Now
yay.
speaking of jokes, you transitioned from basically not talking, doing your mime and doing your street shows and your juggling, etc., to actually becoming a stand-up comedian, which in a sense is like the opposite because you're relying just verbally basically on what you're saying on stage. How was that transition for you?
That was a weird journey, just because I was a prop comic or a physical comic at first. I would use a lot of my mime or technical skills to get some laughs, and then slowly built the stand up. But it took a long time before I really felt comfortable being able to just be like, no, just the microphone, no silly case of props and toys, and then eventually got to the point where, yeah, I felt fairly comfortable. I think, I never became the level of comic I think I aspired to be, but I was really happy with the 30 minutes I could do when I was finally, you know, feeling comfortable.
Well, and also if you think about the variety of things that you do, a lot of people, they're stand-ups and that's all they do. But you then where you were doing stand-up in clubs, and this looks like a shot. Wow, you're very. What are you like 14 there or something?
Uh, I am 25 there with my when I had hair, and I'm spinning a couple of soccer balls on my
Mm-hmm.
fingers, and this was a fisheye lens, and there were a lot of people in this photo that were regulars during Expo '88 in
Mm-hmm.
Brisbane, and they would come to this spot and wait for me to show up with my box of tricks, and then I would do my act of that time. Yeah.
Wow, great. And then of course you did some TV in Australia too, so that worked out for you. You got booked on a number of TV shows, I believe.
I was, yeah, Australia at that time, there was a nice space for being a foreigner, being a Jewish neurotic New Yorker down under, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. So I was lucky I had a good agent, and I was living in Australia full time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was lucky to get on the, I don't know, talk shows of that time period, the late night show, the Conan of that
Mm-hmm.
time period, and had a nice little gig for a while there, and really loved Australia. I just loved the people. I loved how they didn't take themselves very seriously,
Mm-hmm.
and they were really open and responsive as an audience.
And then of course you moved into theater doing your one man show. Now your one man show, from what I can understand, Mind in the Waters, you now explain this to me. You actually at one point in the show become a dolphin. So this is a poster I believe from the show. Do
This
you
was, yeah.
you actually
Oh my
play a
God.
dolphin?
It was my first really serious show to as an actor that took me away from doing any kind of comedy. And I know this sounds really hippie and strange, but I had had an actual interaction and experience that was, well, indescribable, and it was with a dolphin,
Mm-hmm.
and in New Zealand, and it was so powerful that I knew at that moment with that dolphin, just having had this experience, that I had to do a show about what's going on with our oceans,
Mm-hmm.
even to this day, with the pollution and dumping of waste and the,
Mm-hmm.
rape of the earth, so to speak. And so that became a $15,000 show that was, supported by Greenpeace and toured fringe festivals in 1989 into
Mm-hmm.
1990.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, Mind in the Waters was also, but okay, so becoming a dolphin, yes, it was a
Mm-hmm.
multi-character piece where I'm a Greenpeace dude, I'm a military guy from the Navy, and I'm also the premise was, what would this other species on our planet, dolphins and whales, have to say to humans if they could talk?
Mm-hmm.
And so those monologues from the show were derived from a famous book called Mind in the Waters. It's a collector's item today.
Oh, so interesting. And I would imagine your physical work that you study, your mime and your experience of doing all that would have helped you. Because I know I
Yeah,
did a one man show in my childhood, and I'm like, well, I was a child, like I've experienced that, but you were
you did a
never a
one-man
dolphin. How do you
show.
even do that, Um,
um, yeah, I had a great director, Bob Burton, who
mm-hmm.
was also had studied physical theater, and he helped finesse the physicality. And we even had a cast of a actual dolphin, full size,
Mm-hmm.
from the Oceanic Institute. And
Oh
yeah,
wow.
it was a hell of a time for me to just, because every comic and all the comedy people in the industry were like, "Mate, what are you bloody doing?" They just thought I was crazy for doing this show. but I was really happy to do it. And
Yeah, that's wonderful. And then, of
yeah.
course, your work in theater evolved to Cirque du Soleil. How did that come about? So you got hired as one of the lead. You got hired as the lead mime clown in. Is it Saltimbanco? Is that how you say it?
Saltimbanco, yeah, the original, one of the, it's the oldest touring show. It's retired now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, every show is retired now for Cirque,
Unfortunately, yeah.
unfortunately. But back in the original touring show, oddly enough, had as the lead a gentleman named René Bazinet, who created the two roles that I played, and he
Mm-hmm.
was on the streets of Paris
Mm-hmm.
as a mime and street performer when I first arrived in Paris to study and street perform. So it was really, I don't know if you have that photo. There's a black and white photo. Well, this is me playing one of the roles, which is the dramatic role
Mm-hmm.
in Saltimbanco.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Cirque du Soleil, which is French for "we charge you a lot of money." Um,
That's good. Not
uh,
anymore.
yeah, but Cirque is like any large company. They have a bottom line. They expect you to be a worker bee.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say I had the most fantastic experience with touring with it was work. The
Yeah.
show must go on, whether you're injured or it's serious.
Well, I would imagine it's a change from being a performer or even a stand-up comic where you have so much freedom. You go out and you go on the street, and then the next day you don't feel like it. You don't go out on the street. Whereas with Cirque, how many shows were you doing a week?
Anywhere around 9 to 10 shows a week, and
Wow.
you only get your one day off, which is the
Mm-hmm.
Monday. This
Mm-hmm.
is the clown character, which is the lead clown character, and I use a balloon in one of the routines.
Mm-hmm.
And I took the job because it was going back to Australia 7 years after I had left living there. So it was
Ah.
interesting to come back to Australia and have everybody I used to know from 7 years earlier show up for this show, and then realize Lee's in the show. And I got to meet and have drinks with, Kate Blanchett, and I went out
Mm-hmm.
one night for drinks. Uh, so that was cool. And Jeffrey Rush was in the audience one
Mm-hmm.
night, and the guy who played Mr. Smith in The Matrix became, connected. It was cool
Is
to
that
meet somebody.
Hugo Weaving?
Hugo Weaving, yes, he
Yeah,
came to
yeah.
the
Wow.
opening night.
Yeah,
Um,
and speaking of movies, you then made the transition to screenwriting. Did you always want to write films, or was it something that after 3 years with Cirque, you were like, I just gotta go into a hole here and just start writing?
yeah. So I had written my first, or actually my second, real serious feature screenplay right before Cirque, and
Hmm.
then uh, when Cirque ended, I moved to Los Angeles. And thought this is going to be so easy.
Hmm.
Probably at the time. But yeah, it was weird to be a screenwriter because I didn't have any formal education in that. I just sat down one day and started writing my first script, and I just knew I had to do that. So, which I
Wow.
threw out, promptly threw that thing right out. It was
Good,
terrible.
good for you. Well,
Uh,
they often say that your first experience is that learning experience, especially if you haven't had any formal training. Um, but I'm just getting distracted by the comments. Somebody is commenting on your show in DC. Nice little
uh-huh.
sunrise, Sophia. One of the great people. I
I,
love people tuning in and commenting.
wait,
We,
where
g-
are these comments?
yeah, but you met some interesting people on your journey, right? I mean,
Over the years, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, the in Los Angeles, it was just such a. I was there for a total of about 10 years,
right.
and I got two feature films made there, and
Hmm.
then two or three short films, and then went on to shoot more films in Chicago. Uh, so you learn. I learned a lot about the industry,
Hmm.
and was in the industry, but I never maybe made the transition to the level of of course, that some other writer friends of mine have made.
Right, but I mean, that's always the case. You also made it beyond the level of many screenwriters who are out in this part of the world actually trying to get things made. So congratulations on getting those films made, and the first of which premiered at Sundance, which is extraordinary, and had Maria Bello and Jason Patric in it. So that is success, my friend. Now you are passing that on, and that knowledge that you've learned over the years in a course that you're teaching at a college in Colorado. Is that right?
Yeah, and I just need to mention that Downloading Nancy was also co-written. I was not alone in writing that. My writing partner, Pamela Cumming, terrific writer and actress, she co-wrote that. So we were at Sundance together in 2008 with Maria Bello and Jason Patric and Rufus Sewell from so many great shows and movies. It was phenomenal. And of course, our attorney at the time said, "You understand this will never happen again to you, where your first script gets made for $5 million." And we were like, "Of course it's going to happen again," and it never did.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's amazing. That is an amazing success for a first-time script, as your lawyer said. Now, I want to ask you about the screenwriting class, because if anybody who's watching and they want to learn the art of screenwriting, how do we sign up?
How do you sign up? So Colorado Mountain College, which is a wonderful ecosystem of campuses across the state, has a screenwrite a online, like you go in, you can search Colorado Mountain College and screenwriting. I know it's in there on the website, coloradomountaincollege.edu. And that is a picture of where I live, which is Salida. And so, yeah, it's an 8-week course, and it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of experimentation and actual writing, and it's taught on Zoom, and it's under $100. So
wow, that's great. And then you have a screenwriter, Lee Ross, actually guiding you, and it's for beginning screenwriters, right? If they're trying to make their first short or their first film.
Yeah, if they, it's such a complicated industry, and a lot of people just think, "Oh, I'll just start writing my movie," and then they sit down and they go, "I don't know who this is, who's talking, or I don't know who the character is, or how to write from the point of, are you basing your story around an idea, or are you basing it around a character?" And all the basics around just writing practice and being able to understand the structure and form of how to write it, and what's the difference between a short and a feature-length film, and all those things.
So it's basically the fundamentals, and you said for under $100, that sounds like a great deal, and anybody in the world can sign up because it's going to be on Zoom.
It will be on Zoom, and
well, we will put up the link in our comments for people if they want to go check that out. And there it is right now. Wow!
Look at
Dolly is
magic.
fast.
Le
Look at that,
magie.
starting September 1st, 2 to 4 p.m. And there's the link and everything. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Fundamentals of Screenwriting. Yeah, there it is.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, Lee, thank you so much for chatting with us. We came across a documentary online that's actually dedicated to you, and we decided, just to embarrass you at the end of your interview as we take you off screen, we're actually going to play a clip of this documentary that was made a few years ago. And it's about Lee's interesting and varied career. And as you can see from just our short interview here, he's had a very interesting, successful and varied career.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, Lee, it was really a pleasure chatting to you. And we really appreciate your joining us this evening. And we're going to say goodnight to you now. And we're going to leave with a little bit. We're just going to leave this segment with a little snippet of the documentary that's dedicated to the journey of Lee Ross. This is called A Busker's Life.
Take care. Thank you.
The dynamics of this particular location have changed over the years. It's a little slower than it used to be in the mid-90s.
Wow, amazing what you can get away with when you're street performing. That was Lee Ross on the streets of Colorado, I believe, commandeering a vehicle from an innocent woman. If you want to check out that documentary, please do. It's on YouTube, and it's a short 15-minute documentary called A Busker's Life. And you can also check out other videos featuring Lee's work on YouTube. And you can also go to bentroubles.com to find out about Lee's latest release movie called Benjamin Troubles. That's bentroubles.com. It's available to view free on Amazon Prime. And I just went to the website just actually earlier today, and I clicked on the link for Amazon Prime, and I just put it on my watch list. Strangely, it didn't come up in my search, something up with my Roku, but if you go to bentroubles.com right now, then you can click on Amazon, put it on your watch list, and I'm planning to watch it in the coming days. And really, what a joy talking to Lee. Of course, if you want to learn about screenwriting and have him share his years of knowledge with you in the industry, September 1st of this year from 2 to 4 p.m., I think it's starting once a week, and it's going to be, we have it up there on the link is on there. Just click on the link, and I believe for just $99, this online screenwriting class, it's an in-depth dive into the feature script, the short script, and Lee will explore the fundamentals of writing, practice, and the tools needed to write your first screenplay. And September 1st through October 20th. Sounds like a great deal. Now, to our featured musical artist, the Rose Valley Thorns, whose youthful energy and eclectic music influence pushed forward the genre of progressive bluegrass and modern folk, while still paying homage to old legends of the classic genres. They take their name from the stunningly beautiful Rose Valley, which lies in the mountains above the creative community of Ojai, California, a place which has inspired and nurtured both the individual and collective artists that the members of the Rose Valley Thorn have become. With aspects of jazz, ragtime, classical, folk, rock, country, and as I said before, most importantly, bluegrass, the Rose Valley Thorns have created a sound that is truly unique and refreshing. Before we meet them, let's take a look at a clip from one of their videos which features them playing one of their many delightful original songs from their debut self-titled album. This is There's an App for That by the Rose Valley Thorns.
Well, whatever, I'll just use my thumb and my feet to get me there. Some fella stopped and told me to use the new ride share. I said, thank you, sir, but how about you? Can you help me where I'm at? Said, no, man, you just use your phone. You got an app for that. Oh, you got an app for that. It don't matter where you're at. I'm longing for the good old days. I ain't much for this fast craze, but time ain't turning back.
Oh my God, that's a riot. I absolutely love it. There's an app for that. Please welcome the Rose Valley Thorns. Well, hi there, guys. I got to tell you, you sounded much louder on the video. Yeah, we're having a little bit of a muted problem there. Not actually hearing anything. So this interview might be just me, and then asking you questions, and then assuming, what your answers might be. So I got to tell you, I love that video. You guys are working out the technical thing here, hopefully. Do you have I assume you have your phantom power on.
Are we here?
Oh, I heard something there.
Aha, I changed nothing.
Yes, and you'll have to get closer to the mic, Josh, if you could.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, just a little
guys.
closer.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, a little closer.
Crank it, Red. Crank it.
All right.
Crank it up a bit. I'm wondering, is there an app for that that'll make the volume
You would think
Right.
so.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. You sound so good and so resonant. just watching that, because I've heard you do that song live, and oh my God, what a riot! Just watching that video, and everybody's on their friggin' phones in the video.
Yeah.
Is that the definition of meta? You know, this.
When we were shooting that video, I like kind of figured that would happen naturally, that everyone would just be like, we'd get enough footage of people on their phones.
Yeah.
But like, it got to the point where I was like, everybody, like, stop paying attention to us. Like, pull out your phones. Everybody, look down at your phones.
Yeah,
we need this shot.
It's a pretty good idea if you ask me.
Well, it's good that they liked you enough that you actually had to tell them to not pay attention to you. I've done gigs where there's.
I was flattered.
I have to tell them pay attention to me. But so what's interesting too is there was an app for the banjo. It's the first time I saw that. So the banjo
Yeah, that
comes
was a
in
good
as an
idea
app?
too.
Yeah, that's Mark Cassidy on the banjo there, and we're like what way can we whimsically like point out the fact that we don't actually have a banjo player here and give him some homage. So yeah.
Wow, fantastic idea, because yeah, his name came up and everything. I love it. And so you guys are brothers now. You know that, but not you're aware of that, right? Okay.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Most people
some of
wouldn't
our
guess it,
audience
though.
members might not know that. So did you guys grow up playing music together? Was it a shared passion since early childhood?
You know, honestly, he was kind of protégaic from the get-go, so I took a step back.
What a great photo.
I definitely took a step back. I was like, music is his thing. It wasn't until after I graduated high school that I came around on it, and we went traveling and were encouraged to busk, and I started picking up the guitar to back him up.
Yeah, I started teaching Jared how to play the guitar, and I think within 3 months I had him playing shows with me.
Wow.
He got good so fast. It was nuts. I was stoked. I was like, yes.
Was definitely motivated.
That's great. So Josh, as Jared said, you were really the prodigy, and then Jared kind of got dragged into it. But I don't know. I've seen you guys live, and it doesn't seem like anybody. I mean, I know you write a lot of the songs, Josh, and I guess you do take center. But with that one mic, the three of you, even with Corey, your bass player, you're all really in it together. It's hard to distinguish who's the front man at any time.
Totally. And yeah, with the 3-piece and you know, I'm proud of the fact that as a 3-piece we make about as much sound as you could possibly make as 3 guys with acoustic instruments, and that just comes with us all just really just full send every
putting
time.
Our backs
just
into
really
it,
putting our backs into it.
Yeah, and you know, you blend well with your harmonies too. I guess that's just a side effect of being brothers, right?
Yeah, that was an inspiration for that
Definitely,
too.
that was actually.
Everyone's like, those sibling harmonies.
In the beginning, I wasn't singing because, as Josh put it, I was tone deaf. And
wow.
It was bad. It was bad. I couldn't hit a note. I couldn't match anything.
It was actually pretty rough.
I couldn't sing anything. So that was what it was for the first couple of years. And then everybody basically we respected was like brother harmonies. Like you got to do them. So I slaved away.
Yeah. Got better
sang by myself a lot.
Yeah, it's good that you were able to work that out though, because it does really. And then of course Corey harmonizes with you guys too, but it also blends well.
Yeah,
he
he's got a register that's like so much higher than either of ours that
insane.
It really fills the role that neither of us could get.
Wow, that's great. And growing up in Ojai, was there a lot of pressure on you guys to become artists?
It happened pretty naturally.
Yeah,
honestly.
it was definitely like a natural degeneration, a natural downward spiral.
that has led you to this point, and it's only downhill from here, right? You're on that downhill.
It gets better.
It's like in my opening when I was talking about the puns. Like if our Facebook feeds are getting filled with puns these days, we're in big trouble. And of course you being brothers, you're not socially distancing from each other, which is a great thing. I mean, I guess. There's been other impacts of COVID, of course, on you guys as musicians. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, we're really performing artists. We cut this last record out of a sense of necessity last summer.
Need something to sell.
Yeah, but performance is really our bread and butter. We played upwards of 150 shows together last year, so we were like really working hard on that front.
Yeah, had a really big year planned, really big one.
Yeah, we had like over half a dozen festivals booked and like just big old tours all over the place.
Full spring, full summer.
Yeah, it was looking like a big summer for us. Oh yeah. Oh man, look at that. That's probably our most righteous.
That's far out right there, man.
I love it.
Lucidity.
Yeah, that's that lucidity.
A very eclectic festival.
Yeah, yeah. We had to dress the part at that place. So, Corey, it's pretty funny. Jared and I had already been there for a couple days, and we were already looking a little wacky because it's like it's pretty out there festival.
It's as free spirited as it could really get.
And Corey rolled in with his like polo shirt, like tucked in. And we're like, bro,
hat,
we're like, we gotta zazz you up a little bit.
So I put him in one of my mom's dresses.
That's great. Now, during that tour, you had some challenges. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, totally.
Aside from the wardrobe, you know, I mean, we've covered that, but aside from the wardrobe, you had other challenges.
Yeah. So we spent about 2.5 months touring out, like all through Colorado and even out as far as Kansas City and stuff. And that was our first big out-of-state tour. And we were doing it on the heels of the record release, and it was really something. It was really something.
Yeah, most definitely.
Let's see. A Stolen Mandolin later. Don't
forget your broken heart, Josh.
Just really got
and don't forget the broken van.
Yeah. Oh man.
The van just clamped out.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, it's quite the story actually. That's actually a little clip there, and if the clip was rolling, you would hear the tow cable snap and the van plummet off the end of the truck bed. And this occurred.
Yeah.
This all happened. We had literally covered over 7,000 miles in this. In this 2.5 month road trip, and 180 miles from home. Literally, like after the very last gig, we are on our way home.
Wow.
And a stupid little yellow jacket flies into the window, and you know, I only really panicked when the yellow jacket disappeared down into my shorts. And I was I was trying to get it out of there. I look up and I'm just soaring into this ravine.
Oh, yeah.
But you know,
it was unbelievable.
We all things considered, we came out pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
the van survives even.
It was just a van that was injured, and your instruments were okay. You know, no offense, it looks like a musician's van. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And
I got it for like $3,500 total. So yeah.
Oh, was that? Well, that's not too bad. Oh wow, that's a great shot of you guys.
Nice.
Good old fashioned. That was where we were coming from.
Yeah, that was literally
good old fashioned.
The day before I crashed that
headed
van.
Back.
So this is when your life really had no challenges, other than the stolen mandolin. Is that the mandolin that you lost?
No, that was the replacement.
Yeah, we were at the very end.
I got this mandolin stolen in downtown Denver, and like the next day, just had to literally walk into an instrument store and like spend any money that I had made on the tour already, and then some, and be like, "Give me a mandolin."
Yeah. Well, then we got to the show the next day, and we're like, "Where's your mandolin?"
Yeah.
Man, that's rough. Now you're spending your time now positively doing a weekly YouTube series. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, totally. You know, for a while we were pretty deflated, pretty like no motivation whatsoever after all the cancellations and stuff. But you know, the perspective had to shift. There's like no other choice. We had to find some way to keep sharing our music with people, and so the YouTube channel has been a really fun, productive project, and it's helped us kind of become literate in like video production, media production, that type of stuff. And I think they're coming out pretty good, if I don't say so myself.
Great. And is this the page for disabled artists to share their art and stories?
I haven't quite launched that one yet, but yeah, that's also on the horizon.
In the works, yeah.
Yeah, it's called Arts Through Adversity, and it's going to be a page on both Instagram and Facebook, and I'd like to take it further than that, but we're just going to start with this page where disabled artists just have a place to share whatever it is that's speaking to them, whatever their artistic outlet is, and where we can all like prop each other up and support each other and all that good stuff.
Yeah, we want to talk a little bit about that. I mean, in the picture there, we can see that you're affected, of course, by the muscular dystrophy.
Right. Yeah.
Which you're very open about, and I know you've written songs about. And I remember when I saw your live show at the Cool House concert, I think it was last summer. It was about a year ago, I guess. There was no allusion to it. There was nobody in the audience had any idea till you started talking about it. And I would like to chat about that a little more when we come back. But I think I think maybe if you guys could do a few songs for us.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe
sure.
we'll come back and we'll chat a little more.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
Thanks so much, ladies and gentlemen. The Rose Valley Thorns.
Turn the mic gain down a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a touch. All right, so as was previously mentioned, bluegrass is really the bread and butter. Although we have our original repertoire as well, but we're gonna start off with a good old traditional tune. You all probably recognize it.
I said, hello, Mary Lou.
Get my heart sweet, Mary Lou. I'm so in love with you. And I do, Mary Lou. We never part, so hello, Mary Lou. Goodbye, heart. I saw you one sunny day. You flashed those big brown eyes my way. Oh, I wanted you forevermore. Now I'm not one that gets around, but I swear my feet stuck to the ground, though I never did see you before. Hello, Mary Lou. My heart's sweet, Mary Lou. I'm so in love with you. And I do, Mary Lou. We never part, so hello, Mary Lou. Goodbye, heart. Saw your lips, I heard your voice, and darling, I just had no choice. Voices couldn't make me stay away. And I thought about that moonlit night, my arms around you good and tight. All I had to do was stop and say, hello, Mary Lou. And my heart's sweet, Mary Lou. I'm so in love with you. And I do, Mary Lou. We never part, so hello, Mary Lou. Goodbye, heart. My heart is sweet, Mary Lou. I'm so in love with you. And I do, Mary Lou. We never part, so hello, Mary Lou. Goodbye, heart. And I do, Mary Lou. We never part, so hello, Mary Lou. Goodbye, heart. Hello, Mary Lou. Goodbye, heart. Hello, Mary Lou. Goodbye, heart.
Cool. Yeah, it's a good old tune. Maybe, hopefully, y'all dig that one.
Good old hello, Mary Lou.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll play an original tune for you.
Yeah.
And we're gonna crank it back just a little bit from that. And I'm gonna play you a song that I wrote about my battles with muscular dystrophy, as we were talking about a moment ago. And it's on our album and all that stuff. It's a special song to me, you know. I mean, they kind of all are, really. I try to kind of pour myself into...
Pretty close to home, right?
Yeah,
pretty close to home.
Really try to pour myself into every song I write, but this one is kind of particularly special. It's called Old Bones. Ready?
Yeah.
Come on.
People keep moving forward, expectations lowered to try again with unhealed wounds to tend, and we go, drowning in the flow, trying to make amends while trapped in the undertow. They keep on rolling stones and keep on moving mountains. These old bones, they keep rolling stones and keep on moving mountains with every inch accounted. These old bones, they keep on rolling stones on moving mountains, baby. These old bones they keep rolling stones, no baggage to atone for. Would you lend me some? Mine was stolen years ago. You can question me all you want, babe, hell if I know. While reaping the rewards is supposedly what you sow. But the weight of these stones, oh, this weight'll never break. These old bones. And busted gears crushed by collapsing tears. This body may resemble a shack more than a temple. The importance of the practice, while many buildings lack this, my walls will never break. The hills at my will the quake. And these old bones, you know, they keep on rolling stones and keep on moving mountains. These old bones, they keep rolling stones and keep on moving mountains with every inch accounted. These old bones, you know, they keep on rolling stones and keep on moving mountains, baby. Old bones that keep rolling stones, though every bump my body screams, moving boulders full of bad ideas and shoddy dreams. Some days the pain is difficult to redeem, and in more ways than one, things ain't always what they seem. But the weight of these stones, oh, this weight'll never break. These old bones.
Yeah, so that's an original tune there. Call that Old Bones, and you know, it really applies to anyone who's facing any adversity, which is like everyone ever in history, right? So I'm sure that you can find an applicable means of that song.
Want to hit him with another original? Or maybe
yeah, let's do another one.
One off the album.
Yeah. That van that's been through a lot. It's also carried me through a lot, and we've had some good times in it. So this song's about it's about being a broke musician living in a van, and you know what, loving every second of it. However, if you would like to help us out on that financial front, yes, you can. I started a Patreon during this quarantine, and it's really been a really awesome project for me, and something that that's been really nice to like share kind of the more intimate aspects of my musical journey and my life in general with people, and it's helped me out a lot too financially. So if you want to contribute to that, I really appreciate that type of thing. Of course, only do so if you have the means. And yeah, so here's on that note, Broke Swing. Ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
I ain't got much money, there's 4 tires on my estate, but I've been hustling and busking to be able to take you on a date. Got the budget for 1 or 2 cocktails, we'll find a friend to give us a smoke. Speech is free, my guitar isn't charging, and I sing better when I'm broke. And if I won the lottery, if I had $1 million to spend, you and I, we'd still be right here, satisfied with the end. out the Ferraris, and the yachts don't seem like a bad time. I got a feel the Abbey is not one cost a dime. So if the retail price for romance, how much does your eye contact cost? Take my hand and we'll find the line, babe, and we'll jump across. And if I won the lottery, if I had $1 million to spend, you and I, we'd still be right here, satisfied to the end. Simplicity's gone to the wayside these days, and I don't see why. There's nothing I'd rather do than kick back in the sweet by and by. Speak now if you'd rather not bother. Say the word if this isn't your style. But the look in your eyes is excitement. We can find our way to get wild. And if I win the lottery, if I had $1 million to spend, you and I, we'd still be right here, satisfied to the end. If I won the lottery, if I had $1 million to spend, we'd still be right here, satisfied to the end. Yes, you and I, we'd still be right here, satisfied to the end.
That's Broke Swing.
I love it. Satisfied till the end. Well, let's hope that's the truth for all of us. That's so funny. So you didn't know what I just said because you didn't have your headphones on.
I didn't quite
hear what I said.
Yeah.
No, I said satisfied till the end. Well, may that all be good for both of us. You know, I love this whole thing. Like, I sing better when I'm broke, and the whole life as a musician. If you ever get rich, you know, you might find out otherwise.
Yeah, maybe.
Now,
Helps when you got a little
interesting.
bit of
So that
motivation.
song's on the album, right?
Yes.
And that album you recorded at Canyon Hut Studios?
Yeah, that's right. Here in Laurel
And what-
Canyon.
You had Grammy-nominated engineer, and you had like a Grammy-winning.
Yeah,
Studio,
yeah. So our buddy is yeah, there you go. That's Chris Reynolds there. He's worked with a lot of the bluegrass greats. He's worked with Earl Scruggs. He worked on Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, everything.
Wow.
He was our sound engineer, and our buddy here in Ojai, his name's Tim Hutton. He owns the Canyon Hut Studios. And he's won two Grammys recording in that studio. And he's a good friend of ours, and he gave us a good rate because, you know, we're bluegrass artists, and
And your locals.
yeah. No, he's a great guy. He's just the best, and he's a dear friend of ours, and he's done a lot for us.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah. So we got to spend the weekend there and bang out about 14 tracks in 3 days.
Wow, that's incredible. And
Yeah,
you know,
all
it
live,
seems
too,
like
all live.
Ojai is the perfect place for you guys to have been born and brought up.
Yeah, definitely. I'm like super grateful to have been raised in this area. Just like it's such a treat, and it's
You really don't know what you got as a kid.
it's unbelievable. You know, there's like 80-something people in this town, and like 7,000 of them are accomplished artists of some sort, and
Oh, wow.
everyone you meet is just like some awesome artist. Oh yeah, there you go.
Josh, back in the glory days.
Nothing like peaking at 18, guys. Let me tell you.
Wow, you look at
Physically peaking.
Can you get a little closer to the mic, Josh? Would you mind?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, buddy. So, yeah, well, speaking of muscles, and my God, that is quite the six-pack. The only six-pack I've ever had, I've drunk.
Well, I'm right there with you these days.
Yeah, well, welcome to the club, my friend. So the muscular dystrophy. Now, you seem to be doing very well, just from an outsider's perspective, just observing. Has it affected your playing at all?
Absolutely, yeah. It affects just about every aspect of my life, for sure. And I've gotten better at coping, both physically and mentally. Even though, like, the deterioration continues, And that, like, that arm brace for years and years, I never had to perform with it. And like these days, I would never go to a gig without it. Like I bring it to any gig, and it helps out a lot for sure. But yeah, like as my physical deterioration continues, I just got to keep staying like in close tune with my body, and try to cope best I can. Yeah, that's a picture of me. I participated in this medical trial down at UCLA. They're shooting me full of crazy stuff and seeing what happened.
Wow. Well, it's interesting that you have such a positive attitude with it too. I mean, that song "Old Bones," and as you said, we all have had our challenges in life, but they're of varying degrees. And I wish you luck with the trials that you took, and we
Thanks.
hope that there is a way and that there is a cure in the future.
Yeah, we'll see. But at least I have control over my outlook and my mentality with it all, and that's, well, like my body might still be deteriorating, that is getting stronger and stronger. So.
Wow. Well, I very much admire you. The day they discover a cure for muscular dystrophy, your mandolin will come back to you. It'll just be one of those times.
I'll get a call from the Denver Police Department, be like, "Hey, we found it."
Too much good news at the same time. Oh wow. Well, and so that is just fantastic that you guys are just making it happen like that. And we're all locked down. No musicians are performing live, but you guys seem to be doing very well on your YouTube channel. I mean, I went and I checked out some of your videos and of course your music, and that album that you made in 3 days, which upsets me, is incredible. You have a song on there called the Bar Song, which I know you do a lot of positive stuff. But I listened to the Bar Song and I was like, wow, these guys are dark too. You got this. I guess there's a little bit of that. What's that song Johnny Cash made? There's the Long Dark Veil. It's a little bit. I felt like a guy drinking. He went for a drink after he murdered someone.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, right? Because like people often come up after we perform and be like, "Oh my gosh, your bluegrass music just made me feel so happy and just so lovely. Like, thank you so much." And I'm like, "Did you listen to like any of those lyrics that we were singing?" There's no such thing as a happy bluegrass song, even though they all feel happy.
Yeah, it's so interesting because that style of music, and you guys on stage have so much energy, the three of you, and it is such an uplifting experience that I suppose, the lyrics, using words like killed and murdered and throttled or whatever,
There's a few
some
recurring
guy
themes
kind of
in
goes over
bluegrass.
people's heads.
Yeah, it's kind of lost on them.
There's like a number of recurring themes in bluegrass that you hear over and over again, and none of them are positive. Let me tell you.
Yeah, but again, I mean, you mentioned the film Brother, Where Art Thou, and that soundtrack. I mean, that is just so toe tapping and fun, and
Yeah.
And he's a man of constant sorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
But it makes you feel good, so it's
totally.
okay.
It's funny, man.
I just love the genre. I mean, the reviews that you guys got too, just over the years of your being together, not just on the album, but the fact that I think somebody actually, and I said this at your last gig that I got to MC, the one at the Cool House concerts through Divine Rebel Music.
Yeah.
First time I saw you guys perform. One of the reviews that I had read, I think just that day, had something to the effect of you guys were carrying the torch of bluegrass forward. I'm sure I'm misquoting it, but it was sort of saying like, okay, so this is the band that's going to take bluegrass into the next millennium or something like that.
Yeah,
Best, I guess,
us and a good handful of others,
There's a handful out there.
Yeah, it's there. It's Southern California is kind of like a dry spot for bluegrass and modern bluegrass, but I mean, if you go up to the Bay Area, you got all these unbelievably talented youthful bands, and like they're really doing a lot for the genre, and
Wow.
it's there's a bright future, I think.
Yeah.
So I guess like The Voice or the Mindful Bard, doing these reviews that are saying like you're carrying the genre into the next new millennium with bells ring. They've just never been to the Bay Area.
Well, it's us and all those bands too, right?
Right. Well, you're a big part of it, and of course you have that classic bluegrass feel too, and of course using the ribbon microphone and all that, and just the three of you there on stage with that one mic, which is quite a feat live. You gotta. Is there certain positions? Do you make like the lighting guys on movies and they measure the distance, which like
yeah, there's choreography. That was not something that like happened overnight. It's not
No,
like
yeah,
we
that
didn't
was
just buy the mic and like, oh, this is easy,
perfect,
totally
yeah.
nail it, you know.
100 so odd gigs later,
Yeah.
we're like, all right, we got this thing down.
Yeah.
So the mic never comes to you. You basically got to lean in a certain point, and you ever kind of like, hey, he's too loud on that harmony. You like elbow him out of the way, or like
Yeah,
you do.
yeah.
Dude,
You get physical on
this
stage.
guy,
Like
are you
that?
kidding me? I get stomped on my feet all the time.
I'm pretty forward about it.
What am I doing?
Well, see, the thing is that we, under normal circumstances, perform so much that we don't have really time to rehearse because we're usually gigging 3 or 4 times a week. So that is our rehearsal. So if I think that Jared's doing something wrong, I have to like find some way to tell him.
Well, most of the time he just glares at me. It's pretty straight and blatant, but
Well,
No.
I guess as brothers, it's all acceptable, right? I elbowed him or I stomped on his toe. He's my brother. It's fine. Oh, I get it.
True.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. There's a different level of comfortability where like he feels comfortable. Yeah, doing whatever. you
Yeah,
know, if he wants to fucking.
It's easy to get past it too. Obviously, when you spend like 3 months in a van together on the road, like we're gonna butt heads.
Yes.
But you know, it's easy to just wake up the next day and move on. You know.
Yeah, you got no choice. Like you could hate him the night before, but in the morning, you know, you got to play a show that night. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Get
yeah.
over
So,
it.
well, I'm glad we got you on a good day then, a good moment. It's
true.
And how does Corey fit in with the band then? I mean, he's not a family member, but being a band, you're somewhat
Corey
family.
takes bets. You know, whenever we go at it.
No, he's the rock, man. He keeps us.
Is he?
He stands in between us, keeps us separated.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
good. Well,
Corey's
he's the
man.
he's the bass. That is the rock part, right? You
Yeah,
gotta-
he's the best. He's,
Yeah. Well, we very much look forward to seeing you guys performing again live. You know, I
Yeah,
hope you'll make
someday.
it down to the LA area. And I know you actually on your album, somebody that I saw last year before she moved to Nashville, or was it earlier this year? Alice Wallace. she recorded on your album, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
Yeah.
how did that come about?
Well, I met her at the Folk Alliance,
Yeah.
and I was just
Where we
super
met.
impressed with her. She's just phenomenal, right?
Yes. Yes.
And we played a couple gigs together, and she's just the sweetest lady too. I asked her if she wanted to be featured on one of our tunes, and she was totally about it.
Yeah.
And I think
cool.
we found a really good spot for her on that
Yeah,
track.
great track. Steel Strings.
Yeah, it's
really
called
love
Steel
it.
Strings, and she just does an amazing job on it.
Yeah, we actually played that video on a previous episode of Songs and Sit Downs a few weeks ago.
yeah.
We played that,
Yeah.
and what a great track! And you know, did Alice give you any yodeling lessons? Were you guys trying to yodel
Oh,
after
I
you met
wish.
her?
I don't think I can get up
I'm not
there.
even close.
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
like I just started to break into the falsetto, like one note. You know?
But she inspired you to try, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's
Yeah, yeah, me too. I saw her gig, and the first time in my life, coming home in the car, I'm like, I'm trying to friggin' yodel. I actually, and you know, I lasted about 5 minutes, and then I got sick of myself, and I was like, it's never gonna happen.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But man, she makes it look easy, and as you said, you found the perfect spot for her on Steel Strings. What a great track, and the video's online for people to check out. Look, Jared and Josh, thank you so much for talking to us. We're not going to
Our
let you go
pleasure.
just yet, if that's okay. If you
Sure.
don't mind finishing this segment with another song.
Yeah,
I'd love
it
to.
sounds great.
And we really appreciate your joining us tonight, and I
thank
hope
you.
we see
We've
you
had a great
again
time
very
being
soon.
here.
Truly.
We've had a really good time being here. Thanks for having us.
The Rose Valley Thorns.
Great.
Thank you, Owen. What do you want to do?
Let's send him off with the bluegrass tune. Proper bluegrass.
What you feeling?
Will you be loving another man?
This one's off Bill Monroe's Greatest Hits. Find it along there with 15 others. How's this sound to you, Joe?
I'm a little flat. Just 1 second.
Old perfect capo adjustment.
It's good enough for bluegrass.
Yeah, let's do it. You want to kick it?
Yep. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3.
Will you be loving another man? Will you be loving another man? When I return, will you be waiting? Then will you be loving another man? How will you love me, little darling, when I'm in some other land? And you know I can't be with you. Will you be loving loving another man? Will you be loving another man? Will you be loving another man? When I return, will you be waiting? Will you be loving another man? Now don't be crying on my shoulder, telling me that love is grand. Then before I'm out of sight, dear, be loving another man. Will you be loving another man? Will you be loving another man? When I return, will you be waiting? Will you be loving another man? Now if I find this to be true, dear, won't you please just understand? When I return, don't say you're sorry, just keep on loving another man. Will you be loving another man? Will you be loving another man? When I return, will you be waiting? Will you be loving another man? Come on, Trey. Another man? Will you be loving another man? When I return, will you be waiting? Will you be loving another man?
There we go.
Thank
Rose
you.
Valley Thorns, thanks so much for tuning in, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us here. It's been such a pleasure playing music for you and talking to y'all.
And thank you both. The Rose Valley Thorns, that was Joshua and Jared. What a great duo. And as a trio in their complete, as a trio, they are also just absolutely amazing. I'm so glad that they joined us tonight. Thank you so much, guys, for chatting with us and for entertaining us with your wonderful music this evening. If you want to hear more of the Rose Valley Thorns, you can go to therosevalleythorns.com, where you can hear some more of their music and find out about how they're continuing to keep their creativity going during these crazy times, and crazy times they are. You can check out their YouTube channel, where you can see many of their great videos. And as we had on the screen there, and as we have on the screen now, the Patreon site is patreon.com/Joshua Bergman, and check that out, where you can actually become a patron on Patreon. Yeah, I know. Unsung Lily was on the show and we were talking about that, and all of us, as we were chatting, were having trouble getting our heads around that. But you become a patron on Patreon and you can follow their journey and contribute to it, and they would very much appreciate that. And it'll be an interesting project and an interesting for anyone who gets involved to be involved with. And hopefully when COVID is no longer dictating how we live our lives, we'll see them back in the LA area for a live show once again. As we've said before, and we'll say just one last time, all tips help support our musical artists and the hard-working team involved in putting on this show each week, so feel free to contribute if you feel the urge. But as always, we're most grateful you took the time to be here with us this evening. Up on our screens now, a special thanks to these folks for the tips over the last week: Nalini, Pat, Bill, Laura, Christy, Scott, Mary, and Esther. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate that. And we also appreciate everybody who's with us. So thank you for tuning in. That's also a probably the most important part of this show, because we wouldn't be doing the show if nobody tuned in. So you are helping us move forward and helping music get heard and creating a community and being part of a community. And we do appreciate it. In that vein, we have more upcoming shows. So next Monday, we're going to be back here. That's August 17th at 7 p.m. with another episode of Songs and Sit-Downs. We'll be featuring Lionel Passamonte, a very interesting guy who's had a varied career in entertainment as a stage manager and a producer and a director. He's worked on music shows, live music, and television, and a whole bunch of things that he's got stories about. And we're also featuring Pat Nason. He's going to be our musical artist, and we're very excited to have Pat Nason. We've been looking forward to having him for quite a long time, and I'm glad that it's finally happening on August 17th. Pat, as many of us know, is a wonderful singer-songwriter with a great sense of humor and so much wisdom that he has to share with us. So that's really going to be a great show this time next week. And then Monday, August 24th, the following week at 7 p.m., we'll be back with Songs and Sit-Downs, and we'll have Elle Sompras, another very interesting person who's a speaker for a living, but she has also unfortunately contracted COVID, and she's what they're calling a long hauler, meaning that she still has symptoms after something like 3.5 months. She's going to tell us about her extraordinary journey, and fortunately, she's coming out the other side now. And so chatting to her next week will be very interesting to get the truth of what's going on with somebody who has ongoing symptoms with COVID-19. And we're also, our musical guest is going to be Nikki O'Neill, and that's also going to be absolutely wonderful. So please come back for that. And then on Thursday, August 27th at 7 p.m., the Roadhouse Series Presents is back with their August edition, and it's going to be a tribute to Emmett Rhodes. Emmett Rhodes, known as the one-man Beatle, who unfortunately passed away recently. It'll be a tribute to him, and he's got so many great songs, and they're going to be covered by so many great artists that are involved with the Roadhouse series. So do come back and see us for that on August 27th. That's a Thursday at 7 p.m. Thank you, everybody who's involved in the show and who made this show possible. We want to thank Dolly, of course, JJ, Jessica, and a big thank you to our special guest, Lee Ross, and to our fabulous music guest, Joshua and Jared of the Rose Valley Thorns. And of course, a big thank you to you, our audience, for tuning in. We really appreciate you joining us this evening. We're going to leave you now with our video of the week. It's a new video by Tavia, who is a wonderful singer-songwriter, who, if you've been lucky enough to see her perform live, as I have, you'll know is an excellent performer with some wonderful songs. She just released a new video. We have the honor of playing that for you tonight, and I know you're going to really enjoy it. We'll be playing that in just a moment, but before we do, we'd like to thank you just one more time so much for being with us tonight. We look forward to seeing you again next Monday with another episode of Songs and Sit-Downs. Till then, stay safe and be kind. This song is called Dreamer, Dreamer. This is Tavia.
Trouble, can you follow me? Spend my days upon the water, with a roof as blue as the sea. If I hold you closely, Santorini, could you let me leave this all behind? Oh, you got me messed up and unfocused. You got me rolling in my sleep. You are the only thing that stays the same for